Just because you can't change something doesn't mean it's unchangeable. Keep the faith and be willing to contribute when it is necessary.
BTSW speaks.
So, this quote is heavily dependent on the reader's humility before you could actually take heed and follow through. It requires someone who probably wants to be a leader to actually follow the leader, follow someone else. So the leader doesn't necessarily have to always be an actual person or a human being. Sometimes the leader could just be a doctrine, right? It's like, okay, so a lot of people say this is an old African proverb. However, majority of proverbs come from Africa. But that's for a different video. Anyway, in the book of Proverbs, one of the quotes is, "A soft answer turns away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger." What that means is, don't start, nothing won't be nothing, right? If you don't come true talking noise and, making threats and stuff like that, there's a good chance that no one is going to, make problems with you too, right? However, if you come in saying, I'd beat anybody in here, there's a good chance you might find a suitor. You might find someone who will challenge you to a duel. So the leader here is the doctrine that treat others the way you want to be treated, and you will in turn be treated the way that you treat them, right? It's not something that you can really pinpoint exactly who said it first to say, okay, well, this person is the leader. But the leader is the doctrine, the premise itself to do good and good will follow you. All of these quotes that I'm quoting right now is basically saying the same thing, where basically don't start, nothing won't be none. You know what I mean? So sometimes the leader is not a human. So that might give some comfort to someone that watches this video thinking, oh, I ain't trying to follow nobody. People don't know what they're talking about, no ways and all that stuff. There is possibly a quote, a premise, a doctrine that you follow that you don't know where the origins come from, but you follow it. The same humility you have there, knowing that you ain't make this quote, but you still follow it because, it makes sense, is the same way that potentially you would have to follow someone else, even though you want to be a leader. Now, how does that relate to my quote? I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you, let me explain. Sometimes people really, really want to take the reins. They want to grab the bull by the horns. They want to do things their own way, right? And it's hard to do things your own way sometimes, especially when your way is not the right way or the best way. I know I did a video once or twice explaining how the right way and the best way don't always coincide. They're not the same thing sometimes. But right now, what's important to understand is that sometimes we don't get our way because our way will not be the way. You want to go making your own path because you don't like the paths that are given to you. Sure, but if that way proves to be harder and harder and harder, that might not be a way for you to go. Now, I know I sound like I'm contradicting myself and others who say, well, when you see obstacles, you could be rest assured that this is the right way to go. However, obstacles and a full-on brick wall is not the same thing. You understand what I'm saying? So, my point in this video, if you are lost, is that sometimes you will need to follow someone else or something else, against your better judgment. I'm not saying to, just be in the masses and conform to this world. No, I'm not saying that. However, if there is a good cause, if there is someone who is very well capable of leading, who seems to have a good head on their shoulder, or if there's a doctrine that makes a lot of sense and it does give glory to God, please be willing to contribute. Every leader has the ability to follow, but not every follower can lead. Because in order to follow, you have to have humility. You have to be able to say, you know what? I'm not the best person, but you clearly are, so I'll follow your lead. You see what I did there? I'll follow your lead because they are the leader. And you have to accept that. You have to accept that sometimes I'm not going to be the leader, even though sometimes I really want to be the leader. But the first one to lead, man, they get the most criticism anyway. So unless you are ready for that criticism and your heart is ready to accept all of that criticism, I think my silly advice would be to just be willing to contribute to whoever else is in the leadership position. If it's a good cause, man, it's not worth it. It's not worth it all the time to try and be the first to lead every time. Humble yourself and follow.